Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is part 2 of my presentation on culturalism. We are on the point of Western championing and the tolerance of diversity in their very lands. Uh, what we should have in our remembrance is that USA is founded on its own source of multiculturalism, and the kinds of multiculturalism they focuses on are given here. The first one is federalism, second one is religious liberty, free speech and economic liberty, and then parental rights. The first uh, first one is federalism, where we found that a nation or a country where federalism is exercised, their authority or their power is divided into mainly three slots. The first one is for national, I mean for all, for national benefits or interest. We found a few important points there. The first one is declaration of the war, maintaining armed forces, regulate interest and interstate and foreign trade, admit new states, establish post offices, set standard weights and measures, coin money, and establish foreign policy, make all laws necessary and power for carrying out delegated powers. And the shared there are points that are shared, I mean all the states will sharing these very points. The first one here is maintaining law and order. The second one is levy taxes. Third one is borrow money. Fourth one is charter banks. And fifth one is establish courts. The last one is provide for public welfare. And there are points that are only for states. I mean whole country will not share these points. Specific state will enjoy their own cultures, their own law and orders, their own laws for their marriage and for their ethnicities or races. Where we found like establish and maintain schools, I mean for establishing and maintaining schools, the rules and regulations, methodologies, cultures and all that the students need should be picked and chosen from the ethnicities or races staying or residing in the particular state, and establish local governments, regulate business within the states, any trades or any contacts of the trades and business happening within the states should be dictated by the laws states formed for their own benefit, and make marriage laws, provide for public safeties, and assume other powers not delegated to the national government or prohibited to the states. We are now on religious liberty, where we found that the very first amendment of USA Constitution says that everyone in the United States has the right to practice his or her own religion, or no religion at all, means everyone got the freedom of choosing religion. If someone wants to follow religion, it's up to him or her. If someone even wants to stay secular, he is free to do so. Our country's founders who were of different religious backgrounds, means the founders of America were of different religious backgrounds. That is the reason they constructed their country on the basis of multiculturalism, where freedom of religion is established and is lawful, and is something that everyone must abide by the laws stated in their constitution. And they knew the best way to protect religious liberty was to keep the government out of religion. So they created the First Amendment to guarantee the separation of church and state. This fundamental freedom is a major reason why the USA has managed to avoid a lot of religious conflicts that have torn so many other nations apart. We are moving forward, and we are now in the third stage, which is free speech and economic liberty, where it is focused that when any people come to America, they can live near others of their old country. I mean, if someone go to America from Bangladesh, he or she can live with other Bangladeshis, can speak Bangla with other Bangladeshis, even can erect or establish a school run with Bangla language. I mean, they got total freedom of choosing their own culture, and they can even do the political movements. Bangladeshi political movements can be exercised in America, and which is true and lawful for all the countries. And someone new in America can do lobbying for exemption from the laws that he or she feels burdensome for his own life, and he can try to change American foreign policy with regard to the old country, or to the country he or she is from, or his enemies even. We are now on the last stage of Western championing and tolerance of diversity in their very lands, which is parental rights. In US Constitution, parents got a broad range of rights where they can exercise their authority on their sons. They can instill their own cultures, their own language, and their own way of living. And it said parental rights, which have been expressly organized by the Supreme Court since 1920s, further promote multiculturalism by giving parents broad power to convey their culture and their children to their children. Indeed, the court's first parental rights cases struck down restrictions on child rearing that were aimed at suppressing what some saw as excessive multiculturalism. So we are now on another point, which is multiculturalism in USA versus well-being for Muslims there. And before getting deep into that, we can have a shallow looks on two main points. The first one is America is a nation of many religions. This is the point where 69% of the population agreed, and America is a Christian nation, which was said by only 19%, and only 9% said America is a secular nation. So finally we can summarize saying that America is not a secular nation, it is a nation of religions where all the followers of religion can have total freedom of exercising their own religious instructions. And the second important point is the point of survey was Islam is a threat to religious freedom in USA and internationally. In USA, only 39% says yes, Islam is a threat to religious freedom, but internationally 40% said Islam is a threat to religious freedom, where 52% disagreed inside the USA. I mean, the citizens of USA, 52% of them disagreed that Islam is threat to religious freedom, and they said Islam fosters freedom for our religious beliefs. We are now moving forward. Yes. Um when United States of America started their war on terror, their war on terror, they came up with an attractive narrative but within or beneath which they hide hatred and grudge for Muslims, and they did so to marginalize Muslims. So, Muslims in USA are going through the period when narrative war on terror targeting Muslims got its root very deep inside American societies. A quotation can be cited as example of this, where George W. Bush said in September 2010, he said, "Our war on terror begins with Al Qaeda, but it does not end there. It will not end until every terrorist group of global reach has been found, stopped, and defeated. Whether we bring our enemies to justice or justice to our enemies, justice will be done and can be taken as an example for that." He said, justice will be done, and justice will be done to our enemies, or our enemies will be brought to the justice. So, anything done under the narrative of war on terror is legalized, and those who are labeled terrorists under the war of terror can never find the way towards justice and towards truth. And this is how they institutionalized Islamophobia in USA, which is totally opposite of the way USA was formed and established. Um, an interview taken from an Yemeni advocate who is staying in America, and her name is Muthaina. She said, multiculturalism and liberty is only enjoyed and improved when we can move freely in and out of airport without being treated as suspect or without being held with suspension. Now we are moving to the final stage, which is conclusion. In conclusion, I said, theoretically, Islam houses all sorts of diversities on the basis of cooperation for things caused betterment or usefulness for all the creatures of God, and which is taken from Surah Al-Ma'idah, where the ayah is وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. Cooperate for bir and taqwa, for piousness and betterment for all the creatures, and do not cooperate for something sinful and harmful to the creatures of Almighty God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The last point, practically USA and most of the Western societies accommodate more diversities than what propagate so-called Islamic countries and scholars. So Islamic or Muslim scholars, the way they talk on the pluralism or on the presence of pluralism and on the tolerance of Islam, of pluralism and diversities, but the practicality or practices in Muslim lands are found negative when most of the Western countries are found tolerating the diversified communities and diversified with having religious faiths. So I'm ending here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.